Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of the Vic High Country. If you haven't already, go onto our YouTube channel and watch part 1.
For this part, we're in kind of the Cola Walhalla area, and we're based ourselves at Hayfield at an RV park there, which is free, which is good. And today we've come north of Hayfield along Springs Road and then turned off Donnelly Creek Road. And we're just exploring a few different spots along the road here. There's a few huts, campsites and kind of lookouts, so we'll show you what we get up to.
Yeah, so this is the first hut. This is Lloyd's hut. We wanted to sort of just check out a few of these because we've heard they're pretty cool. So this is the
track, and we're at Goonan's hut now.
Yeah, so this is like also a free camp spot, which is pretty cool. There's like a fireplace, toilets, and also the hut if you do need to use it. And we've just come down to the river that's just on the side here, and there's awesome little spots where it's actually quite deep, so you can have a
there's
proper
little
swim.
like swimming holes and flowing creek, and yeah, it's an awesome little spot, like 20 meters from the camp. So.
Yeah, this is so cool, and of course it's dog friendly as well. We got the dogs with us, so yeah, it'd be a good spot to camp.
Alright guys, so we finished up yesterday in Walhalla area. We kind of finished up at Thompson Dam and kind of headed back to Hayfield from there. Donnelly Creek track was pretty good, but it'd be way better if you like camped there because there's a lot of cool camp spots along the creek there. We checked out a couple of huts, which was still good, and did a bit of forward driving.
Yeah, and then today we're at Glen Maggie, and there's lots of boats and jet skis, as you can probably hear. So we're just going to spend the day here, and we're going to do some stand-up paddle boarding. And yeah, that'll sort of wrap up our part 2 of this video.
Yeah, we didn't get to do much of the second part of Vic High Country. We might touch on it again as well, but yeah, stay tuned for part 3, which will be like tips and tricks on towing and the roads through the Vic High Country that we found. So yeah, that should be So I'm going to run you through the different roads and tracks we did whilst we were in the high country, just to give everyone a bit of information on what you can do with a two-wheel drive and what you can do with towing, etc. So we left from Bairnsdale and we left along the main highway from Bairnsdale to Dargo. So this road's all sealed until the Dargo Hotel, and it's fairly easy to access with a two-wheel drive and towing any size van. Some parts are windy, but just take your time and you should be fine. Once you get to the Dargo Hotel, there's a general store and the main pub there, and you'll have reception there. So we set up base camp there, and from there you head along the Dargo High Plains Road. So this road up until about this turn off here for the Grant Historic Area is sealed, so this first part, and then from there north is where it turns to gravel. So we continued up this on the first day, and it's fairly steep and windy in sections, and also some parts is quite narrow. So you could probably access it with a two-wheel drive in the dry, and I wouldn't recommend towing anything probably over 3 ton, and I definitely wouldn't recommend towing if you're not experienced on gravel and steep roads. So we took the BT up here and we checked out Devil's Hollow, which is a campground, and you can access that with probably a two-wheel drive and probably a small van. From there we went and did the Blue Rag range track, so pretty much nearly to the end of the Dargo High Plains Road you'll see a turn off, and it's pretty hard to miss. But this track, as mentioned in our video, is very steep and definitely need four-wheel drive. Probably also recommended to have either someone else in the vehicle with you or to have another vehicle there, just in case you need someone to spot you out of a tricky situation. But after Blue Rag Range track we went back down to Dargo for the night, and that was our first day. So I'll just quickly mention too, if you're looking at towing from the north, I had a look at these just doing a bit of research. So Harrietville up to kind of Hotham Heights here is very windy and steep, and you could probably tow up it, but if you're not confident in that type of driving, I wouldn't go up and then down to Dargo from there. And I've also heard that this road kind of heading down is quite steep as well, so just be mindful if you're towing in the area or even driving. Just be really safe and slow if you're not familiar. So day 2 we left from Dargo Hotel and again went on the Dargo High Plains Road to turn off at the Grant Historic Area. From here we took McMillan's Road, which is this main road running down to Tabbitville, and this road is graded and probably accessible with a two-wheel drive in the dry. I wouldn't recommend towing anything large down or up it, because once you get to this part here, it pretty much goes down the mountain and it's very narrow. So if you had people coming the other direction, you wouldn't be able to turn around or pull over really with a big van. So probably no bigger than the van we have, which is the Forbes 12 Plus off-road hybrid. But by all means, maybe if you got it midweek, middle of the day, you might get lucky, but I wouldn't want to risk it. So once you get down to the bottom of the mountain, you get to Tabbitville camping area, and this is an awesome kind of big grass area on the river. And from here we go to the north, so turn right at the end and you get onto the Crooked River track. So as you would have seen in the video, the Crooked River track has about 21 creek crossings, and most of it's fairly flat and easy. The main parts that catch you out are actually the entries and exits of each creek crossing, and they can be very steep and washed out. So I believe when we attempted it, we got to around here, which is about 3/4 of the way. I think we got to about crossing 15, and it was just too washed out and a bit steep for the BT. Didn't have enough clearance or traction, so we made the decision to turn around. Plus I wasn't too sure how these tracks out were, how steep and gnarly they were, so I didn't want to push ourselves and then go further and have to turn around anyway. So we turned around and did kind of 14 crossings back. It's a really awesome track to do, pretty nice to stop and have a swim. And then we continued along the Crooked River track along down here. Now if you're wanting just an easy track to get back and you don't have a four-wheel drive, definitely go back along McMillan's, as that's graded. We wanted to try something different, so we went to Collingwood Spur track. Now this is definitely four-wheel drive recommended, and it's very steep, nothing too hard. I'd probably say not as hard as Blue Ray Range, but definitely steep and a little bit scary at some points, but definitely doable in any four-wheel drive. Just take your time. And this links back up to McMillan's further along, and then from there we went back onto the Dargo High Plains Road and down back to the pub for the night. So for this video at the beginning, we based ourselves in Hayfield, which is a small little town here, and there was a free camp there. From there we wanted to go check out a few tracks around the Walhalla area, so heading out from Hayfield, you're on Hayfield-Seaton Road, and that turns into Springs Road, which is a graded gravel road which runs through kind of the forest here. And you follow that for about, I believe, 45 minutes, and you get to the turn off of Donnelly Creek track. So all the way up into there, it's two-wheel drive accessible, and you could tow along that if needed. Now the Donnelly Creek track is a four-wheel drive track. I probably wouldn't recommend two-wheel drive, possibly all-wheel drive. Now the first part, heading from the east, you go down the mountain, so there's a really steep pinch here, so I wouldn't recommend a large van. You could probably get away with a camper trailer or maybe a small hybrid. And from there, once you're down in the valley, you're pretty much following the creek along. Now there's a few different huts to check out, awesome creek spots and camping areas, so we kind of checked out a few huts and had a swim and some lunch down there for the day. But again, the road isn't hard to do, but there are some narrow parts to it and a couple of creek crossings. So once you kind of get to the end of Donnelly's Creek track, you'll get to Junction Hut area. Now there's heaps of campgrounds and swimming holes and creeks all through here, and yeah, if we had the van, would have been an awesome spot to stay there. Now from there you head out again, and this is a fairly easy graded road out to Walhalla Road, and Walhalla Road is gravel as well, all the way down till Thompson Dam Wall. So we followed that down, and again Walhalla Road you could probably do with a van and two-wheel drive. and this is where we went to Thompson Dam Wall. I heard Walhalla Road you probably can't tow down or up because it's very steep and windy and narrow, but I have heard of people coming down this road. But we wanted to come down here to check out the Thompson Dam Wall, which I definitely recommend doing if you're in the area. And then from there we came down, and this is probably doable. Just take your time if you're towing or driving down here. But we went down to Rawson and headed back around to Hayfield. So that's pretty much our couple of days spent in the Vic High Country. So I hope you enjoyed, and leave any questions down below if you have some.